Good morning, Kim. You have worked for a few decades now at the intersection of value assessment and balancing the interest and needs of trade groups and consulting groups where you've typically been based, as well as the absolute needs of payers intersecting with industry. A recent JMCP study was released that indicated that despite the fact that oncology drugs are costing so much more, and we have such a greater amount of competition, as well as other value assessment tools. Nevertheless, payers are not really availing themselves or managing that arena. What is really going on with tools that are used for value assessment, and why are they not more impactful, such as ICER's approach and the other methods that we have available to us?
That's a great question, Patti. And let me start by saying that I am absolutely tickled, to use one of my grandmother's favorite words. I'm tickled to be here as one of Patti's people, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak with you today. As you mentioned, I have been engaged with ICER since it was founded in 2006. It's one of the most well-known value assessment resources here in the United States. And one of the questions that I get the most often is, how impactful are ICER's value assessments for US payer decision making? And the answer to that is they are impactful, but they're not as impactful as we're typically led to believe. So I'll give you a little bit of information first to share how they're used and their impact, but then to put it in the broader context of the other value assessment sources of information that are out there. As you mentioned, there's all sorts of other tools. And then to also put it into context for how few decisions ICER information is actually available for. So Syncora has a managed care network panel. It's a panel of US payers. And we've been talking to them about value assessment information and value assessment tools since 2016, which is really when value assessment frameworks, as we like to call them, started to come onto the scene here in the US, as we were shifting from volume-based purchasing to value-based purchasing. So what did these folks tell us? They told us, with respect to familiarity and use, and with ICER in particular, familiarity with ICER has been steadily increasing since 2016. Use, however, it increased from 2016 to 2018, and then it's really stabilized, leveled off. So what we've seen in this survey, 8 out of 10 respondents, US payers, tell us that yes, they do use ICER's value assessment information to help inform coverage and reimbursement decisions. Similar numbers, 8 and 10, say they use it to inform pricing negotiations. So they are using them. That's point number one. But point number two, to put it in the context of the whole universe of value assessment information that's available, they're just one of many, many sources, as you indicated. There are a lot of sources out there. In our survey, payers said the most valuable source of information for them is specialty society guidelines. Other sources of information that are of use sometimes: international health technology assessment information from PCORI, the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute, AMCP dossiers. So ICER information is just one small piece in the entire universe. That's point number two. Point number three, how many of the decisions that payers are making is that information from ICER really available for? And the answer is actually very small. ICER has limited resources, and they only do about 8 to 10 value assessment reports each year. So if you think about the universe of decisions that payers are thinking about, ICER rarely does a value assessment for something that's not a pharmaceutical. And even in the world of pharmaceuticals, if you think about the numbers, FDA approves about 50 new drugs each year. At the most, ICER's only looking at 10 of them. So that was a lot of information. To recap, payers are using ICER value assessment information to help inform their coverage and reimbursement decisions, to help inform their pricing negotiations. But it's only one piece of a much broader set of information that payers consider, and it's rarely available for most of the decisions that payers are thinking about.